ladies and gentlemen, to the Reaction and Review 3rd Anniversary Special. My God. Yes, guys. This series is kicking off its 3rd year, and I couldn't be happier. And I have found a movie that I think will hopefully be a nice way to celebrate this series' 3rd anniversary. It is an animated film from 2010 based on a TV show I kind of liked. That movie is the Drawn Together movie, The Movie. Yes, guys, that actually is the title of this thing. The Drawn Together movie, The Movie. I have no idea what this thing is about. I do happen to remember seeing a couple of ads for it on TV, but I don't remember a single thing from any of those ads. It's very odd. Anyway, I noticed on the back here it claims that this movie has a 3D sex scene. It also states that it doesn't come with any 3D glasses. However, the Blu-ray disc does have an option where you can watch a small video that teaches you how to make your own 3D glasses. Thankfully, I don't have to do that because when I reviewed Shark Boy and Lava Girl in 3D, that copy of the movie came with 4 pairs of 3D glasses, so I've still got plenty left. And so, when the movie decides to kick into 3D, I am all set for it. Now, the only thing I'm really wondering is this movie any good? I certainly hope it is, but the only way I'm going to find out is if I shut up and I push play, and I'm going to do that right now. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out the Drawn Together movie, The Movie. Okay, I really didn't need to see Waldor's penis. I also didn't need to know that it was black and incredibly fucking realistic. God, that is fucking disgusting. Okay, so they have tried in vain to make a funny joke involving Israel for about the last 5 minutes. They finally got one, so at least that's one funny joke involving Israel. It's kind of a pity that they had about 7 or 8 failures before that, but hey, at least there's still one good one. That's sort of a positive. I swear to God, guys, these fucking jokes are getting worse. Especially since 90% of the jokes we've gotten are all about Israel. And I've been able to count on one hand the number of them that were actually fucking clever. This is really starting to suck, guys. So, now we're watching as the gang is listening to the commentary on the movie they are in, and commenting about how the commentary is boring as fuck, while the whole time making this scene incredibly tedious and boring as shit. Yeah, this was not exactly a well planned out scene, guys. Okay, that was one of the least sexy sex scenes ever, and sadly the damned thing was in 3D. Oh, fun. You know, guys, I really am able to say one positive thing about this. The 3D works, and it works incredibly well. I just wish that the writing was better, I kind of wish that the pacing was a little bit better, but at least the moments that are in 3D actually work in 3D, so there is at least that. Well, guys, that was the Drawn Together movie, The Movie. Let me shut that off. Good Lord. I kind of feared it was going to sort of suck. I didn't think it was going to be that bad. Okay. I think before I get into talking about the movie itself, I should make a little comment about the Drawn Together series itself, because this is kind of sort of an important thing. For those of you who never watched the show, it was canceled after 3 seasons, and the 3rd season was by far the weakest because instead of them trying to be witty whilst being as crass and as racist and as disgusting as possible, the show just opted to be as crass and as racist and as disgusting as possible without actually trying to be funny. And that is the big problem with this movie is instead of occasionally diving into the gutter and still try to be a little bit clever while doing it, this thing instead decides to move into the gutter and never fucking leave, which basically means that every single joke, and I'm going to use that term as loosely as I possibly fucking can. There is nothing here that I would genuinely call a joke. Is so forced and is just so devoid of humor that it is literally anti-comedy. There is nothing, well, correction, there is very little funny about this movie. Now, I think it has to do with the fact that one of the villains is a giant mech, which is programmed to kill the cast of Drawn Together, and the mech's name is Israel, which is a fucking acronym for they actually mentioned it like twice, and I don't fucking remember. I don't give a shit anyway. But 90% of the dialogue that comes from or has to do with the mech is all cultural political humor involving Israel, and it's also absolutely forced that it just rips all of the funny out of it. There were probably a good 25 Israel jokes across 70 minutes. Maybe 2 of them were funny. 2 of them, possibly 3. I really think I would probably go as far as 3. And that's it. And even those guys are just such an absolute stretch that none of those jokes are funny enough to make you laugh, but they are funny enough to at least sort of make you smile. And really that right there is as close as any joke in this film gets, is it makes you smile and nothing more. Our characters who had 3 seasons worth of build-up, 3 seasons worth of character depth, are all just rendered down to their absolute basest, character. So basically, instead of having those, 3 years of character build-up, all of a sudden, Woldor is just this absolute mental like basket, fucking like basket case, where he actually needs the show in order to quell the voices that tell him to kill children. Yeah, that really wasn't very, funny. Clara, instead of being a bigoted, terrible Disney fucking princess, she's just a bitch. Xander, for whatever reason, is absolutely in love with Captain Hero, which we had 3 seasons of the fucking show where basically Hero did nothing but slam, Xander for being gay. In fact, in the first season, Xander even got a boyfriend. Apparently none of that fucking happened here. In fact, this whole thing essentially is trying to pretend that a whole lot of the shit that happened in the show never happened. Which is sad when this fucking thing is trying to be when this thing's supposed to be the big closeout for the show. The first big sign that Foxy notices when she figures out that the show's been canceled is that nobody is bleeping her language anymore. She is no longer being censored, which would be totally funny if the show were never released on DVD completely uncensored. So essentially, the people who never watched the show on TV and only watched the fucking DVDs of it are going to see that joke as a complete misfire. It really only works if you watched the show on TV and saw it in its original censored form. Which since Comedy Central has not run the show in years, that joke is going to fall flat for anybody who has never watched the show. Now, a positive note, though, is that because they flat out fucking refuse to reference anything from those 3 seasons, and our characters are as flat and as lifeless and as default as possible, that means that you don't have to have watched the previous 3 seasons to watch this thing because you're not really missing anything. They make very few references to things that happened in the show, which, okay, if you're trying to cater to a whole new audience, that would make sense. However, if you're trying to cater to a whole new audience, then that would mean that there'd be more movies of this in the future. And I'm going to give you guys a real quick spoiler. At the very end, everybody fucking dies. So we have closure. We can't have sequels. We can't have a new season with these characters. Why the fuck would you do something like this that is basically just trying to brush aside 3 seasons worth of build-up in some pathetic, horrific attempt at pandering to a whole new audience who didn't fucking care about your show in the first place and is the reason why your show was canceled. Now, I totally understand. I'm just doing a whole lot of bitching here and I haven't really talked about much else, but really, guys, this thing is pretty much the worst elements of the 3rd season condensed into a 70-minute film. And it really is all just about the writing because, guys, the acting here is still really good because we have a top-notch cast. Animation is still really solid, which is really cool because this show apparently is done in Flash. I actually found that out like a couple of weeks back. I was actually reading up on this, and this movie was done in Flash, which is a vast change when the show itself was done with cells and was very, very traditional animation. Well, right here it is all done in Flash and it's all very, very fluid. It looks really solid. Animation here is really good. The acting here is really good. The soundtrack, just the score. The score is just all the music cues from the show. So, honestly, there really isn't anything new there. Oh, wait, there actually was one big callback, which they shoehorned into this thing, and it was really a callback that wasn't necessary. And it was from the start of the 2nd season on, whenever somebody would tell an incredibly stupid joke, we would cut to a tribesman doing a fucking rim shot on a portable drum, kit. Except it was always the exact same footage of the, tribesman doing the, rim shot, which was fine. But here it is always a brand new animation and the rim shot always sounds off. It never sounds right, like the 4 times that he shows up. Ultimately, guys, this thing here fails on a purely writing standpoint. The best thing I can say is, if you were a diehard fan of Drawn Together when it was on, if you saw no faults in the 3rd season at all, you're gonna fucking adore this thing, because it is every single one of those faults, every single one of those flaws, just basically, thrown out there for 70 minutes. And in high def, and in some parts in 3D. So if you were really into the 3rd season of Drawn, Together, you are gonna love this thing. If you have never seen the show, for the love of God, do not watch this, because this is not a really good ambassador for the show. If you really want something good, which has to do with Drawn Together, go watch the first 2 seasons. The first 2 seasons are fucking amazing. And I know for a fact you can still find them on DVD. They might actually even be on Netflix. I'm not totally sure. They might be, but I don't know. And if they're not there, then they're probably on Hulu. And if they're not on Hulu, you might be able to find them right on the Comedy Central webpage. You can find them somewhere. You really should watch them, because those first 2 seasons were really good. This, no. So when all's said and done, am I able to recommend this? No. Just not fucking really, no. Again, if you are a fan of the 3rd season, by all means, go for it. If you've never seen this show, then you're probably not going to be into it anyway, and you're probably not going to care. And if you were like me and you really didn't care for the 3rd season, this thing here is just going to be a tiresome, tedious, arduous bore that is going to go 70 minutes and is going to fail to make you actually laugh. Now, the Drawn Together movie, the movie, came off the Amazon wish list. The person who sent it in was Steven, and you can find his YouTube channel at youtube.com/user/RoxasXDarknessX. Hold on. Yes, I actually had to double check there because I have it, written down. And Steven, thank you, dude. This movie, I have been curious about it ever since it came out in 2010. And, well, I really think that the reason why I was trying to avoid it for so long is because I feared it was going to basically have all of the faults from the third season. And fucking sure enough, that is exactly what I got. But hey, I honestly finally got my chance to watch it, and I have you to thank. So, yeah, Steven, thank you once more, guys. That is youtube.com/user/RoxasXDarknessX. Swing over to his channel. I will put a link to it in this video's description. Now, oh boy, man, that was bad. I'm gonna go watch the first season of fucking Drawn Together again. I really need to be reminded of when this show was good. And before I go, as I said at the very start of all this, this is the 3rd anniversary special for reaction and review, which means that this show is starting its 3rd year. And for all of you who have been with me from the very beginning of this series, for those of you who have been with me ever since I started making videos on YouTube in general, for those of you who've been following me by just clicking on this video and having seen nothing else of mine, thank you. I thank everybody who has given my show a chance. I thank everybody who has taken the time to sit down and watch these videos. And I thank everybody who has ever given me feedback, be it positive or negative. It is thanks to all of you that this series has been able to last this, long, and hopefully will be here another 3 years. Well, maybe not, but still, I'm kind of hoping so. So yes, guys, with that, we come to the close of the Reaction and Review 3rd Anniversary Special. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.